Hey guys, CryptoDad here again. Thanks for joining me on the Saturday night live stream, live from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the news, we'll talk about altcoins. I'm going to move some crypto around for you guys. And as always, I'll do my very best to take your questions and see if we can get your problem solved right here on the fly, live, right, with sometimes hilarious results. Let's get started. Hey, so hello everyone. I'm here again with the rig and got everything set up. I like just before we got started, I realized that the mic wasn't working and got that up and running. So I think technically we're good to go on everything. A lot of people have been mentioning that it's a rough week, has been a rough week, and that's a pretty good description of where we stand. The main thing we'll talk about tonight is the Luna situation because it affects Bitcoin and the entire crypto sector. But we'll kind of focus on the mechanics. I would like to show you a few articles that sort of highlight exactly what happened and kind of learn from there. So let's jump in. Let's go over here to the chat window. We're over here. We're over here. Yeah, we're over here. Well, we can do it. We'll start over here. I'm going to go ahead and pop out chat and get this window over here so that I can monitor what everyone is saying. JDO and Dan are both here. Thank you both for being here. JDO sent me a couple of emails with some suggestions about what we should talk about, mostly involving Luna this week. I wholeheartedly agree. So we'll kind of focus on that. And like I said, we'll kind of focus on the mechanics. You know, I don't give out investor advice in this, except to maybe give you some pointers on how you might go about getting your hands on a particular crypto and purchasing it and storing it in your own wallet. But I don't really call coins or anything. But I have talked a lot about Terra Luna and UST. So let's just jump in the news real quick. I'd like to thank everyone, first off, that's here. Like I said, Dan and JDO are both here. And Frank Rodriguez, Kenneth Wiedner, Joanne L., Brandon, Barbara K., thank you for being here again. Amsterdam Holland, thank you. Truth is bitter. Don't buy Luna. I don't think you can right now. We'll check it out. Hi everyone from Germany, Izzy Raider. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into the news. We'll get that part out of the way. Let's see here. Let's go over here. Right, market wrap. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of where the market is. Cryptos are higher, is what market wrap says. I believe this is from yesterday. So let's do a quick. Okay. I'm just going to launch my crypto.com. I think I've got the phone thing connected, I thought. Or maybe I didn't. Yeah, it should say it's already there. I don't know why it was like not. No, don't quit it. But I would like to see it if I could. It's not showing. Okay, maybe I better quit it. Let's see, maybe I can do it this way. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Oh, maybe I haven't actually. I thought that I had done this, but let's see. Okay. This is my phone sharing software for those of you who may not be aware. It works pretty well. And for being a $20 piece of software, it has worked very well for me. Yeah, we are at least up on the day. We were below 29 over the last several, 2 or 3 days. So, and then this morning we were hovering around the 29,000 mark. So, we're up, right? We're pushing 30,000. So for Bitcoin, we're kind of what we would call stabilized, but that could all change on Monday morning when the stock market that are paired quite closely with risk assets and the stock market. So when the stock market is down, Bitcoin tends to get dragged down as well, and then when the stock market is up, Bitcoin tends to kind of come along for the ride. If you recall, it was not very long ago that we had a stable internet connection, so I don't know what that's all about. I'm just gonna have to live with that. Okay, it's kind of frustrating. Anyway, okay, so let's jump into the news real quick. Here's our current market conditions brought to you by Crypto.com, one of my partners. There is a story that JDO sent me about Crypto.com reversing some trades that concern Luna. So we'll see. A lot of things happened after the crash in stages, and there was one point where a lot of people were still buying, thinking that they could capitalize on Luna at a really low price, and then maybe some dead cat bounces and things like that. So I'm not sure exactly when Crypto.com, I think it was May 12th actually, was what JDO had sent me, tried to announce that they were reversing some trades. So we'll see. But Crypto.com, generally a good place to buy and sell cryptocurrency, stake, deposit and withdraw. I don't know that we'll do anything with them tonight. I'll think about it. I'm going to focus mostly on the Luna issue. So let's jump into the news again. Okay, so here we are, market cap, or market wrap. The crypto markets are treading water right now, but not as bad as they were a couple days ago. All right, now these stories just keep coming kind of hard and fast. So I've linked these news stories down below if you want to read them in any depth, and I highly encourage you to read some of the stories that I have linked tonight concerning what happened, because I'm going to go through them, but you know, it's better to go through them yourself and kind of do your own research and read them in detail and draw your own conclusions, right? If I give you a story, you know, you'll know what my opinion about it is. Some stories I'll put out there because I disagree with them strongly. Other stories I'll link down and talk about because I agree with what they're saying. So don't just take what I say as, you know, what your formation of the ideas should be, right? I encourage you to read these stories that I have linked down below in the description. So if we go over here, you can see there's not much in our agenda tonight, but underneath all of my affiliate links, I've got a section here with all these stories linked, right? So let's see, here we go. Breaking, Do Kwon proposes Terra revival, including token redistribution plan. And that was, I guess, yesterday or this morning or late last night that this broke. And we're going to talk about it a little more, but let's just kind of cover what it is he's proposing. It sounds like what he wants to do is fork the chain, whatever that means, or use the existing blockchain and create a new coin and somehow try to compensate people that were holding Terra and UST before the depegging events of this week, to somehow compensate them, right? That's the plan, right? So the Terra community must reconstitute the chain to preserve the continuity of the developer ecosystem, right? So he's not really saying, the first sentence should have been, I'm trying to help all those people that lost their life savings by giving them some sort of compensation. But really his main thrust here looks like he wants to preserve the Terra ecosystem, the developer ecosystem, right? So that seems to be his main concern, right? That's his job, right? His proposal, which was in response to validator groups discussing the possibility of forking the Terra chain, involves compensating UST and Luna holders who were unable or unwilling to sell their holdings during this week's price collapse. And I have not mentioned, for those of you who don't know yet, that it started last weekend. And then on Monday morning, when the stock market opened and the crypto markets opened, there was a lot of downside. And in the midst of all of that, Terra Luna lost its US dollar peg, right? It's an algorithmic stablecoin. It's supposed to hold the value of $1 US, and the way they maintain that was this delicate balance between the UST stablecoin and the Luna cryptocurrency. They fed off each other in order to maintain this balance. Well, once the dollar peg got destroyed, the system just sort of went into sort of a death spiral. And like I said, I'll talk to you about what I did when this happened and what I gained or early in the week. And Terra Luna crashed completely. If we can look over here, Terra Luna was last week during the live stream was, I don't know, around $80 or $90. UST, which is supposed to be pegged to $1, is now only worth 16 cents. And the Terra coin is worth much less than a penny, right? So total collapse. I've been hearing people say, someday Bitcoin will go to zero. A lot of the Bitcoin bashers over the years would say things like, Bitcoin's going to zero. Well, Bitcoin didn't go to zero, but Terra Luna did. So we're gonna try and focus on this. So this is the story of the now, and this was several hours back. So there may be something new that's happened since this. But I would like to kind of put this in perspective. So what they're proposing, reset the network ownership to 1 billion tokens distributed among Luna and UST holders, as well as a community pool to fund future development. Specifically, 40% of the newly distributed tokens would go towards Luna holders who held the asset before the depegging event. 40% would go towards UST holders on a pro rata basis at the time of the new network upgrade. 10% would be allocated to Luna holders just before the chain halted. And that's the controversy, because there were a lot of people, myself included, that were still buying Luna on the way down. And I guess they feel like some of them should be compensated. But that's controversial, because there were a lot of people jumping in, during this mayhem and looking to make a quick buck. So were they real Luna holders or not, or were they just speculators? It's hard to know. So anyway, yeah, they're thinking of using that. But I'm reading you this article, and I don't think that this plan is going to work or be implemented. Personally, it doesn't seem like it. But when I read the article, I thought, well, that's some hope, maybe, right? Well, we'll see. Okay, so let me just jump in and see what people are saying here real quick. I bought a little Luna at 40 and more at 15, lost a couple hundred. I traded some Luna on Osmosis last night for barely anything. If it comes back, it'll be a hell of a decision. LOL. One rule of crypto, don't be afraid to lose it because it's a volatile market. Oh, you guys can't hear me? Okay, sorry. Nobody can hear me? Let me see. I've got this mic turned up as high as it's going to go. So I apologize if you can't hear me. Sorry about that. All right, let's see if I can figure out where the heck I'm at. All right. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to this op-ed, and it's a controversial article. There's been a lot of, over the last couple years, since 2016 election, and way before that as well, of the term conspiracy theory. So when anyone proposes that there was some sort of nefarious purpose to certain events, they're branded a conspiracy theorist. But I don't want you to think that this article is a conspiracy theory, but it is an opinion piece, right? But I thought it was an interesting piece that has brought sort of a lot of events and things from different areas that sort of give us this narrative that there is a coordinated attack on crypto. And there should be, if you're one of the powers that be, and you're afraid of losing control, and you're at the top of the heap, and you see people that are starting to adopt and follow the way of the decentralized currency, of course you're going to start to attack it in any way possible, right? Now, some of these things that he mentions in the article may not be coordinated, but with all of each other, but they are definitely attacks on crypto, right? This is kind of what happened in 2017. They didn't really need to do much in 2017 to crash the crypto market. Late 17, early 18, besides just having a bunch of financial guys make statements and publish a bunch of articles bashing crypto, right? Now the stakes are higher. Crypto is more established, and it looks like the attack on Luna and its ecosystem was a concerted effort by someone with deep pockets, right? We don't know. But I'm just going to go through this article here. Today we are under a concerted attack on the crypto industry at large from traditional businesses and organizations. I believe because crypto has established itself as a realized existential threat to the conventional financial system. Gone are the days of people hypothesizing that crypto could take over. The path to a new world order based on blockchain now has millions of people walking on it, right? So no longer are people talking, they're actually walking, right? So the powers that be are getting scared. Before I get too deep into this article, I see they've got like this reference to Janet Yellen. I found it quite interesting that I think it was Tuesday, that Janet Yellen spoke somewhere publicly and brought up the UST fiasco when she talked about crypto regulation. And I thought, how convenient that, and I thought to myself, is she following crypto? You know, when she wakes up in the morning and has her avocado toast and coffee, is she like looking at where crypto is? Because I figured which sort of made it worse, right? That she mentioned it, right? But then again, she probably got wind of it and thought it might be a good opportunity to like pound crypto while it was down, which is usually what they do, right? So anyway, that's just total coincidence. All right, so we have Greenpeace last month created a media campaign backed by the World Economic Forum aimed at people outside the crypto ecosystem. We're all headlines, right? So we have these headlines coming through. The reason, they should clean up Bitcoin. The campaign is soliciting for Bitcoin to change its consensus mechanism to proof of stake, right? The reason, it's wasteful and consumes too much world's energy. And then its laughable tagline reads, "You've heard Bitcoin fuels the climate crisis, but did you know software code change could clean it up?" So the first statement is a big assumption, right? The initial statement suggests that Bitcoin is responsible for the climate crisis, which is not, right? Bitcoin's only been around for 10 years, remember. When at least 58% of Bitcoin's energy is sourced from renewable energy, some reports indicate that it is as high as 76%. And of course, keep in mind that traditional finance has a much larger carbon footprint than Bitcoin. So to say that Bitcoin fuels the climate crisis is kind of like saying, you know, did you know that, ice cream stores are fueling the climate crisis because everybody's eating ice cream and they have to power all these stores and, fuel all these trucks that are carting ice cream around. I mean, you could attack just about anything and say that it's, contributing to the climate crisis or fueling the climate crisis. But the biggest one of all is the current financial system, right? We've got banks, we've got these buildings everywhere, we're printing currency, we're distributing currency with armored trucks, we have all of this infrastructure of the current financial system. We've got all these people using computers and transferring digital money back and forth, and all these banks need power and lights and all of the carbon. That's a huge carbon footprint, right? Much more than Bitcoin, right? 10 to 100 times more than Bitcoin. So I could write article after article about how the current financial banking system is fueling the climate crisis. But there's this narrative, and if you didn't know any better, right, you would think that, oh my God, Bitcoin is fueling the climate crisis. My God, something should be done, right? Because they don't write articles about how banks are fueling the climate crisis. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse there. But it's a concerted effort on the part of Greenpeace, World Economic Forum, and it's a media blitz that is specifically designed to attack the Bitcoin ecosystem and its people that believe in it, right? And change the minds of people that don't know that much about it, right? And then we also have members of Congress that are speaking out, and most of them are using this old Bitcoin carbon footprint canard, which has been disproven many times. But then after it got disproven and they stopped barking about it, they figure, hey, we'll just start talking about it again and people won't even remember that it's been debunked, right? So that's how the media works, right? They don't care whether something's factual or not factual. They'll just jump in and start talking about some lie that has been laying around, for a couple years, and people were like, oh yeah, I heard about that. So anyway, cryptocurrency facilities across the country are polluting communities and are having an outsized contribution to greenhouse gas emissions. Outsized. Bold-faced. I mean, they may believe what they're saying, but this is false, right? It's not an outsized contribution. The group seemingly does not understand the difference between computing power and energy generation. Bitcoin farming requires electricity the same way any other server farm, essentially just banks of specialized computers, right? It is important to understand that market dynamics dictate the electricity that Bitcoin mining operations consumes and how it is generated. Miners do not inherently create their own emissions, but rather purchase the electricity that is available on the open market. Fortunately, a growing percentage of that electricity is coming in the form of renewables from solar to wind, right? Well, that's Congress bashing crypto for being ungreen, right? Then we have the World Economic Forum. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy is debunked, but perhaps still accurate slogan used concerning the World Economic Forum, which famously tweeted, Bitcoin will consume more power than the world does today. This didn't come true. So yeah, this article is just bringing up different groups that are at the top of the pyramid that are attacking the Bitcoin ecosystem, right? Let's see. I'm going to get down to Luna here because they're going to talk about that. International Monetary Fund. They made Argentina anti-crypto by making it a loan requirement for a $45 billion loan. They had to come out against crypto in order to get their loan from the IMF. All right, and here we go. Here's the big one for this week, right? There have been numerous rumors as to the source of the concerted attack on UST that started over the weekend. BlackRock, Citadel, and have all denied being involved in the large block selling of Terra USD. let me see. This I have linked this story down below in kind of a singular format. Let me show you what I mean. Let me just double check it. Oh, it's right here. Okay. All right. So how to make 800 million in CryptoSora style breaking UST. Right. We all know that Terra had experienced some issues a month or so ago, and basically the problem then was that more people were storing Bitcoin or saving, I'm sorry, more people were saving UST than they were borrowing it, right? Because if you go on Anchor Protocol, you do both, right? And both kind of were required to maintain the system in an equilibrium, right? But Luna came in and said, look, we're gonna back our system with more money, right? We're getting more financing to back our system. And then it was a few weeks ago when they mentioned, well, we're gonna buy a bunch of Bitcoin to back our system, right? Which was kind of counterintuitive because it's supposed to be an algorithmic stablecoin and decentralized, right? By having a huge reserve to maintain this system, it's becoming more centralized, right? So maybe they had good intentions, right? But someone saw the weakness in this plan and attacked the UST because he knew that they were going to be selling Bitcoin in order to prop up the system, right? And that's the plan, right? They have all this Bitcoin that they bought. In fact, I'd heard numerous stories that said they had the largest chunk of Bitcoin anywhere, more than MicroStrategy or whatever. And so it was quite obvious that, okay, if they need to prop up the Luna system, they're going to be selling Bitcoin. So let's dive further into this, right? Late March, the LFG, which is the Luna Foundation Guard, started accumulating Bitcoin on March 22nd. Had a 1 billion plus Bitcoin position. That's leg number one, right? So the Luna Guard Foundation started accumulating Bitcoin as a backstop for their system, right? That was their reserve currency, right? All right, so then the second leg comes in the form of 4 pool francs announced for UST on April 1st. What am I doing here? The second leg comes in the form of XPool. This added the second leg needed to help execute strategy in a capitally efficient way. Liquidity will be lower when the attack is on, right? All right, so they introduced this new pool. They were holding a lot of these coins. We don't know when the attacker borrowed 100K BTC to start the position, right? So he leveraged himself. Other than it was sold into Quan's buying, still speculation. LFG bought 15K BTC between March 27th and April 11th. So let's just take the average price between these dates, around 42K. Right? So you have a 4 billion short position built over the same time. The attacker builds a 1 billion OTC position in UST. So the attacker acquired quite a bit of UST. The stage is now set to create a run on the bank, that's the Luna UST bank, and get paid on your BTC short. Remember, when they start the run on UST and the Luna ecosystem, the LFG is going to have to start selling their Bitcoin in order to cover this shortfall, which will cause the price of Bitcoin to go down, right? That's the plan, right? In anticipation of the 4 pool, LFG initially removes 150 million from the 3 pool liquidity. The liquidity was pulled on 5/8, This was last weekend. And then the attacker uses 350 million of UST to drain Curve liquidity. This $350 million worth of UST was sold on Curve Finance, which is a decentralized exchange. And it pulled the peg down to 0.972. And this was last weekend. Now, LGF begins selling BTC to defend the peg, right? Causing downward pressure on BTC while the run on UST was just getting started. With the Curve liquidity drain, the attacker used the remainder of their 1 billion over-the-counter UST position, 650 million or so, to start offloading on Binance. So he starts selling his UST on Binance, causing the price of UST to depeg even lower, right? As withdrawals from another anchor, people started withdrawing their UST from Anchor protocol. Turned concern into panic. This caused a real depeg as people fled for the exits. So LFG was selling BTC to restore the peg, while the attacker is selling UST on Binance. Eventually, the chain gets congested and central exchanges suspend withdrawals of UST, fueling the bank run panic, right? So one exchange suspends withdrawals, and then people start running to other places where they can sell their UST. UST depegs down to 60 cents at the bottom, while BTC bleeds out, right? BTC is crashing. This is early in the week, right? Monday, Tuesday. Right? The community panics as they wonder how much BTC will be sold to keep the peg, right? There are liquidations across the board, and Luna pukes because of its redemption mechanism. The attacker very well could have shorted Luna as well. We don't know, right? That's just conjecture. BTC fell 25% from 42K on 4/11 to 31.3K. So how much did the attacker make? There aren't details on where they covered, obviously, but if they were able to cover or buy back the entire position at 32K, Bitcoin at 32K, that means they made 952 million on the short. This is just the Bitcoin short, right? They destroyed Luna in order to pull down the price of Bitcoin because they figured the Luna Foundation would be selling Bitcoin and causing the price to drop, right? So none of this is really illegal, right? But it was a concerted attack from someone or some group that had deep pockets, right? Let's see, for $1,000, and then he says, I don't think they took much of a loss. Let's assume 3% just by selling their UST. The Binance dumps were done around 80 cents. That's another 125 million of cost of doing business. And so we subtract that from the 952 million, and that's 815 million before their cost of borrowing, right? So it's a lot of money, right? Close to, and foreseeing they would sell to keep the peg and prevent Luna from dying was the kicker, right? So they analyzed the situation. They knew that the Luna Foundation would sell their Bitcoin to protect the peg, and then they started to attack the UST system by selling a bunch of UST and lowering the value of you. The more something gets sold, the less it's worth, right? When everybody's selling, right? Even stable coins, right? So it just required that little kick. Okay. And you know what? I've linked a tweet thread from CZ from Binance, where he talks about that this fork remedy for Luna is not going to work, right? But I would like to, at the moment, kind of tell you where I was last weekend. It was on Saturday, I believe, and I read that the UST had depegged down to, the article that I read said 98 cents. It was 98.98 0.85 or something like that. And I was looking at market conditions on Monday morning and saw that the futures, the stock futures, were down. And so I figured it was going to be a bad day for the stock market, and it was also going to be a bad day for crypto. And I was a little concerned about this depegging event and how it might happen again, but not really knowing any of the stuff that I'm talking about now. Just my intuition was that if it got depegged, and I knew from the article that I read last weekend that there was somebody behind the depegging, that the article suggested that. So I knew that some big entity was attacking the system and that we were looking at a bad day. So the first thing I did that morning, I guess I'm on Eastern time. It was around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, or maybe earlier, I'm not sure, was I withdrew my UST from Anchor protocol, right? So if you guys remember, I was in the EARN program. I had about 5,400 UST in Anchor. So I withdrew all of that and traded it for, actually what I did was I withdrew all of that over to Osmosis, right? So I transferred my UST over to Osmosis into my Terra wallet, and then I withdrew my UST onto Osmosis and then went to trade and sold all of my UST for for Atom, right? And so after I did that, I moved my Atom back into the Atom wallet over here. So if you look at, let's take a look at Ledger Live, because my Atom wallet is linked to my Ledger. My Kepler wallet is linked to my Ledger. So it does, and I have the Atom account in Ledger Live because it's supported. Atom is also supported in Ledger Live. So let's take a look at Ledger Live real quick. I just kind of want to show you what happened on that Monday morning with my portfolio. We'll go ahead and get ourselves logged in. All right. So if we look in latest operations, you can see there that, let's see here. Actually, this is the 374 Atom that which I kind of moved in as well. So that's me putting the proceeds from that UST trade into my Atom wallet. And then here you can see me withdrawing the Atom to Coinbase Pro. And then I sold all of my Atom on Coinbase Pro and parked that UST as cash on Coinbase Pro, right? So, and most of that is still in my Coinbase account, safe and sound. But about what happened with how the two Luna and UST fed each other, I probably should have liquidated my Luna position. I looked at the price of Terra Luna at one point on Monday or Tuesday and saw that Luna was down. Let's see if we can look at the chart here. Let's look at our 7-day. Yeah, I think it was down to 60. And I don't know, let me just take a quick look here. Where's it? It's way down now. Yeah, I had 113 Terra Luna, and it was worth around $3,700, $3,600, something like that. And I remember looking at that bag and thinking to myself, you know what, maybe I should just sell my Luna, but I didn't, right? I said, Luna's strong, it'll be fine, right? But I was a little worried about the UST, so I liquidated that. I may have been helping this thing, right? So I did not sell my Luna. I waited. And then Luna started crashing, and it was down. Let's see if I can see this here. Okay, now here I bought $500 worth of Atom on Coinbase Pro, and this was me on the 11th. On the 11th, that's me depositing the Cosmos back into from Coinbase Pro. That's me depositing my $500 worth of Atom back into my Atom wallet, right? And then that there is that withdrawal from the Atom wallet is me depositing that Atom on Osmosis, right? So I went on to Osmosis and I traded my Atom, and at the time, what was that? We had, it was 40 Atom. I traded my 40 Atom for UST. I'm sorry, Luna, pardon me, Luna. I traded it for Luna when Luna was $3, right? And at the time I thought, my God, it's down from $100 2 weeks ago. It's got to go back up again, right? So, and you can see in my assets here that I still have that 275 Luna that I bought at $3. All right, I used $500 worth of Atom to buy Luna at 275 Luna. Well, imagine my surprise when a few days later that Luna was like 3 cents. I think I looked at it and it was 6 cents, and I was like, I guess it could get lower than $3, right? So I got sucked into, I thought that Luna, the system was strong. We all believed in Luna. It was an up-and-coming crypto, had a great idea in principle, right? A lot of people were saying, oh, it's a Ponzi scheme because, you know, they're promising more than they can deliver. But it sounded like they had it all worked out, right? But they were not prepared for a concerted effort of attacking the system by dumping UST on the open market. And that's what happened, right? So that's where I stand as far as this goes. So I saved my $5,000 in UST, but I lost my 3,600 in Luna, which I could have sold on Monday or Tuesday had I been thinking clearly, right? It actually would have probably been worth more on that Monday morning when I did the UST, right? I think still Luna was a little higher back then. But anyway, so that's where we are. Yeah, if I do not sell it, I cannot claim it as a tax loss, and unfortunately I can't sell it now because their deposits and withdrawals are not available. So I don't know that I could sell it even if I... It looks like I could still trade it for a small amount of Atom, right? To harvest my tax loss. But I'm just gonna leave it. It's only $500. I'm not that concerned about the tax implications of a $500 trade. I'll just wait and see what happens, right? It's pretty much gone now anyway, right? But that is true. I can't claim that as a tax loss until I actually sell it. Now, I can sell it here on Osmosis, but I don't believe you can sell it. I think a lot of exchanges have delisted Luna now. And you can also see here in assets that you cannot deposit or withdraw Luna now. So I'm sort of in the twilight zone here. I had some in there before they disabled deposits and withdrawals, right? All right, so that's kind of where I stood. This is what happened in the market. And the problem with this event was that it was a poster child for attacking or sowing doubt in the entire crypto market. So let's kind of okay, if you held Luna, I feel for you. If you held UST, I feel for you. But let's take stock of what did and didn't happen, right? So Luna crashed spectacularly, more so than I've ever seen anything. I think JDO mentioned that to me. So it's a historic crash of a cryptocurrency. Happened faster than anything else in history. But, and the crypto market went down, right? But the crypto market has been down before. So Luna crashed. That happened, right? But Bitcoin did not crash completely down to zero, right? And altcoins did not crash down to zero. Not all of them, but a lot of them are way down from their all-time highs. So just for a little history lesson for those of you who haven't been around that long, I want to give you my analysis of Bitcoin. Now, I'm not a chartist in any sense. We're going to do max. There it is. Okay, so here is our chart. We had the great all-time high of Bitcoin of around the $20,000 mark. And then we had Bitcoin crash, the dreaded crypto winter of 2018. And in late 2018, we had Bitcoin down, I would say the low in 2018 for Bitcoin was around 3,000. So we had Bitcoin at 1,000 at the beginning of 2017. Our low point of the crypto winter was around 3,000. We have never seen $1,000 Bitcoin since 2017. We have not, right? That's our statement of confidence. We have not seen Bitcoin at $1,000 since early 2017, right? After the great crypto winter, Bitcoin recovered somewhat, right? I think we were up around 10,000, 12,000, somewhere along in there, up and down over the course of 2019. And then in 2020, we had the great COVID crash of March, where people were worried about COVID. We had the stock market crash, we had the crypto market and Bitcoin crash, and we saw Bitcoin down around 5,300, right? March 2020. That was the low point. We have not seen that 3,000 from. Now a lot of people were talking about that $20,000 mark of 2017. All of Bitcoin break its previous all-time high in late 2020 and never look back. We have not seen 20,000 since 2020, right? We've had lots of ups and downs, right? We had our high of around 62,000 in 2021, and then our subsequent last year's market crash. And then we saw the all-time high of around 68,000 late 2021, right? And we're way down from that, right? And here we are as of today back at around less than 30, right? But we are not at 20, right? So we haven't seen $1,000 since 2017. We haven't seen 3,000 since 2018. We haven't seen, first and foremost, a currency. It's designed to be a currency, a decentralized currency, to be used as a method of exchange. Other cryptocurrencies have their own use cases. They are blockchain based, but Bitcoin is the big daddy of currency only cryptos, right? So I have a little article here about, actually this is kind of I subscribe to this guy on Medium, but I don't know, he's only got about 6.2K followers. I like his articles. He's pro crypto in general, but I don't think anybody has replied to this article. So I don't know how much traction this article gets, but I like the gist of this article, right? You'll notice, and I have it linked down below in the description. You'll notice here it says altcoins are dead. Here's why you should buy some, right? So if things weren't bad enough already, right? So from the beginning of this year, we've seen Bitcoin and the market get devastated, right? those of you who are still holding altcoins from that they bought last year, thinking, you know, they were going to do moonshots, are probably in deep disappointment mode, right? I personally have quite a few cryptos that are just swimming in a sea of red, right? And it doesn't seem to be getting any better, right? They're way off their highs. I'm talking about little coins. Like, let me just throw Solana, XRP, Polkadot, Avalanche, Litecoin, Polygon. These coins are way off their highs. But I have some more that are even more obscure. We've got Phantom Chain. If you're familiar with Phantom Chain, I'm way underwater on that one. Pancake Swap was I broke even on Pancake Swap quite a ways back, but it's way down from where it was a couple, you know, last year. Right? Oh, there's Phantom. It's below Pancake Swap, right? So I'm underwater on Phantom like $4,000, right? But I'm still holding. And then we have Engine Coin, which is another great altcoin, way off its highs. We've got Kava, Moonbeam, Secret, Oasis Network. All of these coins are way off their highs, right? And this fiasco from last week did not help, right? So, but we have to remember that a lot of those altcoins are not trying to compete with Bitcoin. They have their own use cases. For example, Axie Infinity, right? Axie Infinity is a pay-to-earn game. What am I doing? I'm on the wrong thing. Earn real cryptocurrency by playing a game, right? If you go over to their website, you can see that, you know, it's a video game basically that you play online, but you can earn real crypto with this game, right? This has, I mean, they're not claiming they are a cryptocurrency. They have their own chain, but they're not claiming to be a currency in any way or form. And by buying Axie Infinity, you're basically investing in their company, right? So some of these altcoins are more like stock in company. I shouldn't really say that because the SEC might quote me on that and try to, you know, attack some of these. But that's where we stand, right, with a lot of altcoins. They have their own use case. And I still think it's a good use case, right? The world is going digital. The gaming industry is, you know, $1 billion industry. So a cryptocurrency, blockchain-based game is a no-brainer, right? But it's not the time right now. When Bitcoin sort of rules the market, other altcoins tend to follow Bitcoin's lead, right? So we may have a long time to wait for some of these little coins to shine again, right? So are you going to be a trader or are you going to be an investor? Not every cryptocurrency is, right? A lot of the altcoins sort of are part of the system, right? We want kids with mommy and daddy's money to go play Axie Infinity and, you know, spend their parents' money to make the developers behind this project wealthy, right? Any company wants to be profitable, make money, right? So this is kind of it's a system. It's pro system, right? But it is blockchain based. Whereas Bitcoin is an alternate financial currency that the powers that be don't like. So I don't know that the powers that be really care about like Axie Infinity or Engine, right? Engine Coin is involved in NFTs, right? So, you know, buying and selling NFTs and being involved in NFTs has really nothing to do with being a currency, right? So we have a lot of coins like this that are just with cryptocurrencies, right? And then, of course, we also have Ethereum, which is the number 2. And I don't know that the powers that be hate Ethereum that much either. It's a bit of an independent thing too, because smart contracts could displace a lot of third-party type services like escrow services and estate lawyers and things like that, because you could, engineer a smart contract that two parties could agree on, that they don't need like a real estate agent, or they don't need an estate lawyer, the banking system like Bitcoin is, right? But we'll see. All right. Let's see where we're at here. I don't think Rex is aware of the buffering. At least he checks the chat. I am aware of the buffering. I keep seeing the little message. I don't know why that is occurring. I'm a little distressed about it. I wish it would stop. I really don't know how to fix it. I just kind of was hoping that it would fix itself. I have a really good internet connection. I don't know why OBS Studio keeps disconnecting and reconnecting and disconnecting. I don't know. I think maybe I have my bit rate set too high. I don't know that there's any way to. I'll have to do some research. Maybe if I set it lower, then I won't get this disconnect reconnect. But I've had this bit rate set for months, and now all of a sudden, over the last several weeks, I've been having this issue with OBS wholeheartedly. I can still see it's still happening over here. I don't know what to say. I don't know. If I go into my settings, I don't believe I can adjust my settings midstream. I could try. But I don't know. I've had this setting for almost a year now. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm having issues with OBS Studio. I apologize for that. I'm not going to mess with it right now. So bear with me, please. All right, so let's finish up with this news here. Wooleye, I've tried to withdraw my Litecoin recently from my Ledger Nano S into an address that I've used in the past. Is there a problem with Litecoin? As far as I know, there is no problem with Litecoin, but I don't know how long you've had Litecoin. I don't know where you're trying to withdraw it to. And if you've had the same Litecoin account, shouldn't be an issue. Litecoin has undergone some upgrades to its blockchain. There's like legacy Litecoin accounts and newer type Litecoin accounts. Let's just do a quick. Let's go to accounts. Let's just add a Litecoin account and see what happens here. Why is it wanting to go into Ledger Manager? That's weird. Okay. Maybe I don't have Litecoin installed on this guy right now for some reason. It just seems kind of weird, but c'est la vie. Oh, it is. Okay, it's installing Litecoin. Now it says open Litecoin. Okay. Now it wants me to add a Litecoin address. Like I said, could you, Ali, can you explain where you're trying to withdraw this Litecoin to? All right. So we have native SegWit Litecoin addresses, we have SegWit Litecoin addresses, and we have legacy Litecoin addresses. But depending on the situation, you should be able to withdraw your native SegWit Litecoin to an older legacy address. I don't know why it wouldn't be backwards compatible. But generally, the problem arises when you're using a legacy address and you're trying to withdraw from an exchange to a legacy address, and the exchange. Wait a minute. Let me put that wrong. You have a newer type of wallet, like let's say you've got a native SegWit Litecoin wallet, and you're trying to withdraw from an exchange, and that exchange does not support the newer format. And then you might get a message from the exchange telling you invalid address. But the way you posed your question makes it sound like you're withdrawing from your ledger to another Litecoin address, and you're having an issue with that. What is the issue? Is it telling you it's an invalid address? Seems kind of weird. But as far as I know, there's no problems with Litecoin right now. You might want to just double check, your normal troubleshooting. Maybe is your computer operating properly? Can you withdraw other coins? Like do a quick test. I mean, we could just do a quick, let's see here. Let's do Coinbase Pro. Let's just do a quick check. This is Coinbase Pro here. Let's go to portfolios. Let's go to deposit. Let's go to Litecoin. LTC. Let's get the address of our Litecoin account on Coinbase Pro. They are, that looks like a native SegWit address, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's take we bombed out of that. But let's see if we do, this is a native SegWit account. If I do a receive, I should have an address that starts with M, right? So it looks like Coinbase Pro supports native SegWit Litecoin, right? Deposits, right? That's the best. I mean, you would want the most recent protocol, right? Let's go ahead and copy this into our clipboard. Let's go over here. Let's send some of this Litecoin to Coinbase Pro. Let's hit continue. Let's just send, I don't know, $20 worth of Litecoin. It's not that much, right? 3 Litoshi. It's not going to cost us very much at all. Litecoin is a very fast and cheap blockchain. Let's hit continue. We'll hit continue again. And it's loading, and I should see. Okay, let me show you what's happening on my device. All right, so it wants me to review output. Let's get a little further. You can see more of the device, right? So we're reviewing output. That's the amount I'm sending. That's where I'm sending it. We'll hit accept. And then we've got to confirm our fees, which are very small. We'll go over here to accept and send. So I'm assuming you've done this before. You know how to send Litecoin from your ledger, and off it goes. It went out pretty easy, pretty quick, and I should get an alert that I just deposited some Litecoin in my Coinbase account. I haven't seen that yet, but I should see that pretty soon. So as far as I can see, everything seemed to work just fine, and there's no problem with Litecoin. I'm not sure what kind of address you're trying to send it to. This address that you've used before, but perhaps you should try a different address. Maybe, I'm not sure. Does anyone think that the UST attack was government initiated? It took a great deal of funds and know-how to initiate. As I suspect, yes. I guess I'll go on record as a conspiracy theorist, but as I mentioned at one point in our breakdown, I was quite surprised that Janet Yellen brought up the UST fiasco publicly, like within a day of it happening. That seemed a little suspicious to me that they jumped on that so quickly, right? And then the article that I shared with you, some of the usual suspects were like BlackRock, these big, hedge funds, or these big firms and funds. And anyway, let me see if I can get Wally. He hasn't said anything yet since then. Oh, there he is. I tried to withdraw into my Gemini account, and it said that it doesn't recognize the address, but I've used that. Gemini says it doesn't recognize the address. you know, if you're in, let's see where I'm at here. Yeah. Like, for example, Kraken. Let's just use Kraken. I don't have a Gemini account, so I can't really help you there. Let's not KuCoin, pardon me. Let's go ahead and just sign into my Kraken account. Ah, pooies. Okay. It's fine. Okay. All right, so let's get signed in. I'm going to touch my little my little YubiKey. So if I have to like wipe my computer clean and reinstall everything again, OBS Studio and see if I can figure out what the F is going on with my OBS Studio, because I have a good internet connection. I have no problem with my internet connection. It must be an OBS Studio issue, right? Even YouTube is telling me I have an excellent connection. So I don't know what's going on with, and OBS Studio is giving me a green bar down there, so I have a great connection. I don't know what's going on, but it's driving me insane. If it's not driving you insane, rest assured it is driving me completely insane. I keep seeing those messages. And I've been doing live streams for like 3 years, so I know what I'm doing, but I just don't understand why OBS is misbehaving like that. Anyway, where were we? We were trying to figure out how to make a deposit of Litecoin. Here. All right, so if we want to deposit Litecoin, I've never done it before, but you probably have an address on file or a whitelisted address that they've given you to make your deposits on. You can always just generate yourself a new one, right? Just generate a new depositor. Let's go to one that I've already done a few times, right? Let's go back. Let's say, I don't know if I've withdrawn Bitcoin or not. I think DOT maybe. Let's try DOT. Okay. No. All right, let's do Luna. I know we've done lots of Luna drops or deposits here. Let's just do that. Oh, they probably don't even have it anymore. Anyway, if you already have a whitelisted address, you can just generate a new one, right? It's not that hard to just generate a new address on an exchange. So go to your Gemini, go to your deposit interface, and problem solved. You don't have to like agonize over why the old address wasn't working. Perhaps it was an older, I don't know. It shouldn't actually be a problem going backwards. Like if you have a native SegWit Litecoin wallet, you should still be able to make deposits to older SegWit addresses or even old legacy addresses, right? So what I'm assuming, okay. So they have a deposit address here, and I can generate a new one, right? Oh, this is easy, right? Generally, there's going to be some sort of, they're going to send you an email where you have to verify it, right? But, you know, if you're thinking that there's a problem with sending, period, then just generate a brand new Litecoin account and send some Litecoin from one to the other. See, there's the existing Litecoin. So let's just go ahead and call this one Litecoin 2, right? And go into your brand new Litecoin 2 account. Oh, that's a different Litecoin account, pardon me. I already had another Litecoin account, but let's just, I don't know what this is. Okay. To the new address, it should work, right? 20. All right. All right, so we should be able to send Litecoin. So I don't know, I did that really fast, but what I was trying to like point out is that you can troubleshoot on your own, right? And by sending some Litecoin from one account into a different account, you've eliminated the possibility that there's some sort of problem with your computer or Ledger Live or something else, right? So we can see here that the Litecoin just went out, right? The 0.28 Litecoin went out, and it should be in the other Litecoin 2 account now, shortly. Right, should come in there. Boom, just came in. Right. So you can create a secondary Litecoin account and see if you can move it back and forth between those. And if you can do that, then you know there's nothing wrong with your computer, there's nothing wrong with Ledger Live, nothing wrong with your deposit address, and see if that works. And don't agonize over why. I used to do a lot of tech support for computers and stuff, and people would come to me with problems, and I would solve the problem, and they'd go, but why? They would, but why was it doing that? And I would say, I charge extra for why. Because who cares why? You know, if you fix the problem by, you know, trying a workaround and it worked, why worry about why? That's just me. Okay, let's see, where are we here now? Grab the tinfoil hat, that'll fix it. No, it's me. I don't know why OBS Studio is doing this, but it's me. It's not you. It's not me, it's you. Hey there, glad to finally catch you live. Just wondering if you've heard of the Pulse Chain launch and how you're going to get copies. No, I have not heard of this. I've heard of Pulse Chain. I don't do pumps and stuff, and I never know when someone's asking me about a coin if it's just a tricky way for them to pump a project or shill a coin, right? I've heard of Pulse Chain, but I'm not involved in it. Who hates crypto the most? Who stands to gain the most? Who has the financial power to bring down Terra? Now realize that the few people / players that meet these requirements all know each other. Very good point, Dave. This may be a completely stupid question, but why sell it at all? Won't it go back up? We don't think that Terra is ever going to go back up. We think that the system, the ecosystem has been completely destroyed. They've lost the peg of UST. They cannot get it back, and so they've given up on Luna. The developers have announced that they've given up coin, and somehow give that coin to the holders of previous holders of Luna. You might get compensated with this new coin if you're still holding your Luna, but even if you sold it, they would probably base this compensation on a snapshot based on a certain time. So if you, let's say for example, I was holding 100 Luna before the DPEG event, they would say, oh, Rex deserves to be compensated for that 100 Luna that he was holding on May 9th. And it won't matter that I sold it for pennies on the dollar, you know, on May 14th, right? So it shouldn't really, but I don't think that Luna as a coin is going to recover from this. It's too much hype going on. It's got too much publicity. And there are some doubts about Do Kwon, because it came to light that he was anonymously involved in a previous algorithmic stablecoin project that did not work, right? But that could have been the powers that be trying to besmirch his good name, right? They dug up some dirt on him, and the story broke very close to the depegging event, right? So that's how the big people work, right? Don't you remember that movie Gladiator, when they brought his food to Maximus, and Maximus was a little concerned that they might be trying to poison him, and his friend says, "You have a famous name. They must kill your name before they kill you," right? So That's how the big people operate, right? They go after your reputation so that people will doubt your integrity. So that story about Do Kwon broke last week, I believe, that he was involved in a previous, and that just added to the fuel to the fire. Let's see, previous. Let's try that. I don't know if it's gonna. Here it is. UST's Do Kwon was behind earlier failed stablecoin. This story broke on May 11th, which was kind of in the midst of all of this. So it just added fuel to the fire, right? Not only is Terra system crashing, but also Do Kwon is questionable, right? And someone in the stream asked earlier, where's the BTC? I believe CZ was asking that as well, or somebody in this thread was asking. Oh yeah. Where is all the BTC that was supposed to be used as reserves, right? So they've come out with this complicated plan to somehow compensate users by creating this new chain. Well, who the heck is going to buy into this new chain? And so CZ asks, what about all that Bitcoin you bought that was supposed to defend the peg? If you have any of that left, why don't you use that to compensate all the people if you're so concerned about them? But they aren't, really. Right? This is an interesting Twitter thread. If you follow this thread here, shouldn't those BTC be all used to buy back the UST first, right? If you have more of your BTC reserve, shouldn't you still be using that to buy back UST? I don't know. CZ from Binance has kind of got dragged into this because Binance, listed UST and Luna, right? And then a lot of that UST was sold on Binance. So CZ from Binance kind of got drug into this whole scenario. In their desperate attempt to bring some value back, this snapshot idea is coin, but reality is this doesn't solve anything. It's a fluke even if they go by it. Do they really think they can fork BTC at the snapshot on November 8, 2021, and the new fork will have the new BTC at 68,000, the price on that day, right? So if you fork Luna, you're not going to magically make Luna, this new Luna 0.2, go right back up to its previous all-time high, just by the virtue of the fact that you've made a new fork, right? Sounds good on paper, but probably not, right? So there's a lot of questions surrounding this. Who is involved in this attack, and is the Luna Foundation somehow, somehow responsible or complicit? We don't know. We don't have answers to all of this, but we pretty much know that Luna as a project is finito, right? So let's see here. I hope I solved that Litecoin question because you did leave me a tip, and I appreciate that. Richard Hart. Please don't talk about Richard Hart on my thing at all. I don't, Anybody that comes in and talks about Hex or Pulse Chain or Richard Hart is a shiller, right? I don't take any serious questions about it. And if you talk about that kind of stuff, I'm just going to hide you from the channel. I apologize. The peg at 90 was pretty stable during Tuesday. What's Tuesday? Tuesday or Thursday? I think BTC was dumped along that day. Okay. All right. Once trust is lost in a project, it's nearly impossible to regain it back. That's true. And let me just look real quick here about what JDO had sent me. I got the alert that I received my Litecoin in Coinbase Pro, wherever it is. Where'd Coinbase Pro go? Okay, here we go. Right. So we have received the Litecoin in Coinbase. It's still pending. But I'm still a little confused. The question that Wally pointed out was that it says it doesn't recognize the address, and I'm wondering what it is. Is it Ledger telling you that it's an invalid Litecoin address, or is it Gemini saying that you can't deposit to that address anymore? If you're still here, why don't you clarify that so we maybe know what we're dealing with here. Can you recommend us how to put HBAR or hashpack on wallet extension using Ledger? Is this one you recommend? I've heard good things and bad things about HBAR. I've covered this before. If you want to put HBAR onto a ledger, it's complicated because it's not supported in Ledger Live. So you're going to have to use a third-party wallet. So, but since you asked, I'll go over it again. I don't see any other pressing questions at the moment. We'll go over here to HBAR. All right, and you can see that Hedera Hashgraph is supported on the Ledger device, but not in Ledger Live. So you have to use this HBAR, my HBAR wallet. I'll put a link to this here. I invite you to double check that little, if that's what's holding you back, you haven't stumbled across this, maybe this will be helpful to you. But at some point, you have to install the Hedera Hashbar app on your device in Manager, and then you have to go and use this. It's where you have to like buy access to their blockchain, or know somebody that's already has an account and can invite you so that you can have an address on their blockchain. I don't know why people think this is a good idea, but there are several coins of the Asian persuasion. I can't think of them at the moment. Maybe Neo, I don't remember, but there was another coin like this too that just, whenever they're asking you, okay, so you, let me see, here, go to the Hashpack website. Maybe you could do this on Chrome, I don't know. Maybe this wallet would work, but Hash Connect, I believe in order to make this happen, you need to like open in some kind of account with them, pay them. So not sure. But I apologize. I've been through this many times. You're not the first person that's asked me how to store Hedera Hashbar on a Ledger device, right? But I wasn't that interested because of that hurdle that says, oh, you've got to pay to get on the blockchain. Answer to or securely with headers. It may have, I don't know, it's a web app. Okay, yeah, so you have to create an account. I don't know, let's try it. Oh, okay, maybe. See here, that's the catch, right? You have to have an account ID. How do you get an account? You need a Hedera account ID and seed phrase. So how do you get an account? Oh my gosh, I don't remember. You can get a testnet account. Don't send real. Hedera account ID. So you got to go sign up for something to get this account ID. So that's where I was like, I've heard enough, right? I don't care. I don't want it. Yeah. So you've got to get signed up for an account. And it's like too much hassle for me. Seems to violate the whole. My thoughts on Solana. From what I understand, I bought Solana. I like Solana. I use Solana a lot. Over the past year or so, but they've had several down times, or where they've gone offline, and that appears to indicate to me that they are too centralized. Going back to this whole Greenpeace thing where they're saying, oh, Bitcoin should be cleaned up by switching to proof of stake. Proof of stake, Bitcoin uses proof of work. And that's what like Greenpeace and all these people are saying is bad for the environment. Right? They want them to switch over to proof of stake. Well, proof of stake is weaker, and it's susceptible to over-centralization, just like Luna. If we look at Luna, what its downfall was that the Luna Foundation was sort of leaving their core principles of decentralization and buying a bunch of Bitcoin to back their peg, and suddenly now they become centralized, and there's a centralized point of attack, and that was its downfall, right? And that's proof of stake. So isn't it coincidental that the powers that be are pushing for Bitcoin to switch from proof of work to proof of stake? It maintains security of the network. We talked about Bitcoin difficulty, Bitcoin hash rate. There are a lot of metrics that Bitcoin hit recently that make the network more robust and more secure. And the proof of work makes Bitcoin one of the most, or not the most, robust and secure blockchains out there, right? All of these smaller projects that are using proof of stake suffer from some weakness. Developers put aside a huge amount for their own purposes, right? So, and that was true of the Luna Foundation. I believe the Luna Foundation held like 50% of all the circulating Luna, right? Decentralization, right? Proof of stake, centralization, right? Now, right? It suffered market issues. It suffered, people started shutting off their miners in 2018. The difficulty level went down. The hash rate went down. Sol until I guess the third incident of Sol being down. And so I kind of lost my awe of Sol, right? I'm not a Sol worshiper anymore. Yeah, it's still a decent coin though. Very fast and efficient. If they could fix whatever problems they have and get more decentralized, then it would be a good project. I think that's what Cardano is also trying to become wholly decentralized, right? The Cardano Foundation and IOHK had been working on Cardano for many years, and they owned a large chunk of the circulating supply, and they were kind of controlling the blockchain to a certain extent. And it was only last year, 2020, 2021, when they finally were able to get enough validators on the network to let the Cardano blockchain run on its own. But like I said, proof of stake is great, but it has weaknesses, and centralization is one of those weaknesses. Hey, Scott Lee still likes Digibyte. There's nothing wrong with that. My thoughts on crypto IRA platforms and their fees, 1% when you trade. If you, there are different IRA schemes, but basically, you're gonna somehow shift your IRA over to their platform, and then they will allow you to trade Bitcoin on their platform tax-free, because it's an IRA. Some of them allow more of self-control over than others, right? I know my friend Randy said that he's got a bunch of Bitcoin that he has stored on his ledger that is technically in that IRA account, and he can trade it back and forth tax-free. It's only when he withdraws it from that fund that it becomes taxable, right? It's like a normal IRA. So if you're want to be a high-speed trader or a day trader and you're worried about the tax implications, then this IRA is probably worth it for you. But for me, I'm a long-termer. I'm not buying and selling Bitcoin on a daily basis. I basically buy it and store it. So it's not going to give me any additional benefit to put it in one of these IRA funds. Right. Just depends on your situation. Trades inside your IRA are tax-free. Yeah, Dan's spelling it out there for you. All right, so let me see. I wanted to talk a little bit about this article. We didn't talk a whole lot into it. Altcoin holders are feeling the pain, right? Truth hurts. We have a bunch of altcoins that are way off their highs. We talked about this earlier. People, and the problem with altcoins is that once you've bought them, you have to, if you want the price to go up, you have to wait for other people to buy them, right? And a lot of these projects are not off the ground yet, or they don't have full adoption yet, so there's not a lot of activity on the chain. And so it's just an idea that people are buying and selling the coins based on whether they think this is a good idea or not, right? Like I mentioned, Decentraland, which is a great project. Everybody's talking about how wonderful it is, and McDonald's is buying, real estate in the Web3 or whatever you want to call it on Decentraland. So, I mean, there's a lot of interest in this project, but it's not mainstream or by any stretch of the imagination, right? So if you invested in Decentraland, it's not like mainstream enough to like be attracting a lot of attention, especially now in this crypto market. But it could in the long run, right? Not as bad as you heavily in like a penny stock, or a small cap Litecoin that's got some kind of project. Maybe it's a different game, like it's a pay to earn game that you bought a bunch of coins in. You might want to just go to their website and see, who's playing the game. Is anybody playing the game? What's going on? Just follow up. Oh, and then he talks about some of these projects I mentioned. Engine, we've got Chainlink. These are all great cryptos, great ideas, but they're way off their highs. But you can look at some of these figures that show that they have made some money for some of the early investors, right? So you may have already made your money back. Like you bought a bunch of Chainlink back in 2020, early 2020, and it had quite a run up, and you sold it for a profit, and you still have some, and you still believe in it. It's not a bad coin, right? It has made money for people in the past, right? And Dash, Basic Attention Token, had some good run-ups as well. So there's nothing wrong with altcoins in general, right? But all of these coins, Dash, I'm not so sure. Dash is more of a currency, but also kind of a privacy currency. But, these are all these coins have a specific use case, and that use case could be a good use case. But there might also be other coins out there in that same space competing with them, right? So you want to keep an eye on that. Careful what you wish for. Would you rather steam? Here's a good breakdown. Like I said, this isn't like a mainstream article or anything, but I like the gist of the article. If you remember, Steam was like a little ecosystem, kind of like it was kind of like a blockchain-based video / blog sphere kind of thing, and I was involved in it. And basically, you'd set up an account. You could post articles. You could post videos, that kind of stuff. But most of the people on Steam were like self-promoting themselves, right? And there were ways to like invest Steam into your own articles to pump them higher on the top so more people would read them. And it was just, but anyway, Would you rather see Steam go back to $8 and piss everybody off because it still takes a week to get an account, the content sucks, and everybody's just trying to make a quick buck, right? Or would you rather see Steam go back to $8 as a battle-tested, proven platform with a streamlined onboarding process, long-established communities, and advocates who have invested sweat equity in building a following, right? So what do you want to happen to your coin, right? Do you want to see robust growth, or are you just in it for the money, right? So if you're a long-term investor in any particular coin and you believe in its use case and you believe they're a leader in that niche or whatever, then you would want to see the company or the system become stronger and better, right? You're not just worrying about whether the price goes up or not. So if you want all this to happen, that's going to be good for it in the long term, you would have the patience to wait for that, rather than have it go up really fast so that you can make a buck and have a system that sucked, right? Okay, and now he's claiming, we'll have altcoins hard. It takes months to recover, right? We're not going to see another altcoin season next week, unless something incredible happens, right? It takes months. It took, when we had that low in January, is new, right? Still relatively new. Bitcoin is only 10 years old, right? Or just over 10 years old. And most of these altcoins are only a few years old. So, where was Amazon after a couple of years? I think I heard about Amazon before 2000, right? So it took Amazon a while to catch on and people to adopt. I'm an old guy, I remember back in the late 90s, I worked at a computer store, and, people would come in there and say stuff like, I would never buy anything online. They'll steal your money, they'll hack you. And I'm like, how backward thinking is that, right? Anybody these days that would say, I don't trust Amazon, you'd think they're some kind of Luddite, right? Because everybody's using their credit cards and their bank accounts to buy stuff online, right? But I remember back then, people were very skeptical about purchasing things online, right? And that was in the early days of Amazon and the internet and the World Wide Web. So of course people are going to be skeptical about cryptocurrencies. We're only a few years in, right? And there are going to be some manias where the price inflation is, are we going to solve this problem with inflation and the labor shortages and the supply chain issues and all of the financial fallout from the Russian sanctions that are hurting Europe and hurting the status of the US dollar? There's all kinds of stuff going on right now that there's not a good seedbed for an emergent technology to be like moonshotting right now. There's people are worrying about the price of food. They don't have money to throw around on Bitcoin. They're wondering, are they going to be rationing diesel fuel on the East Coast in a few weeks? Just like people have bigger worries right now. Like we're kind of in what I would call hard times right now, uncertain times, right? We've got wars going on, right? So I'm not confident that we're going to see an altcoin any kind of alt season anytime soon. I hate to be negative, but now's the time to sort of count your blessings, sit tight on the coins that you believe in, and buy more if you've got the money to do it. But please don't, mortgage your house to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything, right? Don't borrow money from your family, so that you can go out and buy crypto, because that's a recipe for disaster, right? If you believe in crypto and you have this pitch when it said delivered, you put in for a refund and get the refund every time, right? People trust Amazon, right? Is Luna on Binance native Terra network? Luna. Is Luna on Binance native Terra network? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I can't access Binance, so but I don't know if Binance has delisted Luna or not. Let's see if we can figure out. Oh, actually, major exchanges delist Terra. Binance, the world's largest exchange by volume, led the charge, right? So you cannot trade Luna on Binance anymore. And you saw me earlier over here in Osmosis. I think we could have traded Luna if you already had it on here, or if you wanted to buy some, you could probably still buy some if you had anything else to trade for it. But they've... Can I just withdraw Luna from Binance to the Terra station connected to Ledger Nano? Minimum withdrawal is 150,000 now, so I can't do a test transaction with only one Luna to see if it works. If you have Luna on Binance, I really don't know if they'll let you withdraw it or not. I don't know if they've suspended withdrawals or not. They may have. But I know that Osmosis has suspended withdrawals and deposits. And that's not a good sign, right? If the DEXs are doing it, then probably the CEXs are not. Halted the trading of Luna on Thursday. An exponential amount of new Luna were minted due to flaws in the design of the Terra protocol. Their validators have suspended their entire network, resulting in no deposits or withdrawals possible to or from any exchange. So there you go. You can't move it at all, right? They've shut the blockchain down. So if you had any Luna on Binance, it's worthless, right? Can't sell it, can't withdraw it, can't move it. It's done, right? We just need to get past that. These things happen, right? This was historical, this was amazing, but you know, I don't think it's bouncing back, guys. I could be wrong, but you know, it doesn't look like there's anything. And then I wanted to talk about what JDO mentioned here real quick, if I can find it. Let's see, he's this, and I'm just gonna mail it to myself here real quick. See if I can pull it up for you guys. We'll just talk about this real quick. Let's see here. Mail. I didn't move much crypto around, did I? I talked a little bit about Litecoin, or I moved some Litecoin, but that was about it. I didn't go buy any Bitcoin or anything today because I just kind of wanted to focus on this Luna. But I guess Crypto.com had reversed some traders' Luna May 12th transactions. That was just 2 days ago, right? I think at that point the blockchain was effectively, well, I mean, obviously they allowed some trades on the 12th, but now reversing profitable Luna trades from May 12th, claiming users were quoted at an incorrect price, which may very well be. Not a good look, though, for them. Right? I don't know when Binance delisted. This article is May 13th. So, you know, there was a lot of confusion swirling around on the 12th and the 13th. So, you know, they're probably, Crypto.com was probably in a bad situation. But what it looks like is that they ended up on the wrong end of the trade and decided that they were just going to reverse it because they got left holding the bag. And they didn't feel like they should be left holding the bag. So they reversed the trades. I obviously, you know, made the end users whole as far as the coins they originally had when they made their trade, whatever they traded for Luna, and then gave them $10 in CRO, I guess, something like that. Yeah, they gave them a $10 reward in CRO. compensation for the inconvenience. So it was, and maybe their quoting system was off. You know, there was so much confusion with Luna plummeting so quickly. Maybe their system couldn't keep up with it, right? And people were making trades at like, you know, they were buying and selling Luna at like 3 cents, and it had already like crashed down to like 0.00006 cents, and their system couldn't keep up with it, and so they reversed it. It's an unprecedented situation. So, like I said, it doesn't seem like a good look for Crypto.com, but they may have a legitimate argument that, you know, these last trades during the death throes of this cryptocurrency that has crashed to zero and has no more blockchain, maybe they have a legitimate argument saying this trade probably shouldn't have gone through the way it did, right? That, like I said, there were a lot of speculators that cared nothing for Luna jumping in at the end, hoping that, you know, they could buy like $5,000 worth of a, you know, coin that was way less than a penny, and see it dip up like a cent and then make a killing, right? I think they were trying to, there were a lot of people taking advantage of the situation. So we can't blame Crypto.com too much, but like I said, I don't think it's a good look. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess a lot of people made a ton of money in those that last day or so when Luna was just like, because it was fluctuating. A lot of people were still buying, right? So there were people selling, and there were still a lot of people buying, even though Luna was like, like I said, I bought it at 3, thinking it was going to bounce back. So there were probably people in there buying it at 2 cents, buying it at 3 cents, buying it at half a cent, buying it at a quarter of a cent, and then it would like fluctuate up, you know, from a quarter of a cent to 1.5 cents. And if they had put in 5,000, they were just like tripling their money. So yeah, there were probably a bunch of people in there speculating during its death throes, right? But it's an unprecedented situation, so you know, some people react different in those situations, you know. And like I said, this article, even Binance delisted it, right? And who knows how they did that, at what point they cut off trading completely. But anyway, it was quite a shock to the crypto system. I hope that the live stream gave you a little more of an insight into what happened, and you know, not to lose heart in crypto in general. Like I said, this was not Bitcoin. It involved Bitcoin simply because the Terra Foundation was buying Bitcoin in order to, you know, prop up their peg. But Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network was never in danger and is still not in danger. Price of Bitcoin suffered a little bit, but that was due to a lot of factors. But this was a bad publicity for the crypto sector in general, and we're just going to have to move forward from there, right? But I wanted to kind of give you an overview of my limited. Okay. My OBS is acting up again. I don't know what's going on, but it has been happening fairly consistently. I don't know that it happened. I think it only happened once or twice last week, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'll uninstall and reinstall my OBS Studio and see if I can fix this disconnect issue, because it's very irritating. So thank you for sticking with me through the entire live stream. I'm going to rewatch and see how much skipping there was, whole or I'm gone. Well, that's, I mean, I agree with that assessment, right? But like I said, it was an unprecedented situation, so maybe sometimes we have to roll with the punches a little bit, right? Anyway, good night, everybody. Thanks for